Hi everyone, this is Jennifer Thomas, your online instructor for Leadership in Management in Nursing. In this tutorial, I'll be sharing some of the basic do's and don'ts of PowerPoint presentations. PowerPoints are a fun way to complement your presentation, but can also hinder a presentation if not formatted well. I hope you find this tutorial helpful. Please feel free to contact me if you have any questions. Let's start with the title page. Just like your essay assignments, it is important to include the title of your presentation, your name, Grand Canyon University and course name, and finally the date. Be sure to be creative and organized to quickly gain the audience's attention. After the title page, you can include an outline of the material you will be presenting. Now, outlines are optional, but I have found that this is helpful for the audience. As you can see, the outline lists the material I will be discussing in bullet point format. To ensure your audience could easily follow your presentation, heading your slides to match the outline bullet points is very helpful. For example, the first area of PowerPoint I'll be discussing is text and organization of slides. As you can see, I have headed the slides with that same bullet point heading, text and organization of slides. This is just a quick and simple way to prepare your audience and give them an idea of what they will be presented with. Let's move on to text and organization of slides. When creating a PowerPoint presentation, it is important to only put the main discussion points on your slide. You should not have paragraphs of information on your slide because this is not an essay. It is a presentation. PowerPoints are used to guide an audience to follow. All too often, presenters add what they are already speaking about in the slides. All this does is distract the audience from listening to the presenter because they are caught up in reading the slides. This is an example of how your slides should not look. Bullet points are a great way to organize and list the material you want to speak about. Just list the main idea or main point you will be presenting. In a few minutes, I will review where you can place your lecture material. Be mindful of font size. 16 point is the very minimum that should be in PowerPoints for an audience to see when the presentation is up on a board. However, I feel that 16 point is still a bit small. I like to keep my font size at a minimum of 20 point, and I always make sure that I choose a font style that is easy to read. Be sure to keep your bullet points the same throughout your presentation. While it may seem minute, the inconsistency of bullet points can serve as a big distractor. White space refers to just that, the white space on a slide. It is important to use the space on the slide well. You don't want it too plain, but you also don't want it too busy. Keep a good ratio of font, white space, and graphics. This is a great way to keep your audience's attention. Let's move on to the speaker notes. Speaker notes can be placed down in the notes section. This can be found right down here when creating PowerPoint presentations. So the purpose of speaker notes. Speaker notes help to guide a speaker through the presentation. Essentially, this is your lecture. It reminds the speaker of what to talk about in each point, and important topics to discuss without overwhelming the audience with large amounts of text on the slides. With the organization of speaker notes. Notes should be organized in a manner that best suits the speaker. Be sure that you can easily recognize which notes belong to which bullet points. Always place your notes in order of the bullet points presented. Remember, the slide is meant to guide the audience, so you want to present the points in an organized manner. Finally, with in-text citations, direct quotes should always be cited in the slide. If the material you are presenting in your lecture comes from another source, it is important to still give credit to that author. This can be done in the speaker notes section, just like in this manner here. Then, reference your source on the last slide, which is your reference slide. Now that we've discussed speaker notes, let's move on to graphics. So there are a few different ways to embed graphics into your PowerPoint. You can copy and paste, search for a picture on your computer, or do an online search. I'll show you how to search online graphics. This is one of the easier ways to do this. So when putting graphics into your presentation, you can start by choosing the type of layout that you want for your slide. You can do this under the Home tab and then selecting Layout. Over here, I'm just going to put a To Content area. This way, all of my bullet points are on one side, and I could put a graphic over on this side. To do an online search, you can just choose the online picture icon. Now, since we're going to do graphics, I'm just going to put, for my online search, maybe some coloring tools. And voila, there you go. You have some great graphics to choose from. I'm just going to choose, let's see, I'll choose this one right here. It has some fun colors in it that I can place into my PowerPoint. It does take just a moment to download. And there we have it. This is how to embed an online graphic. Now, one of the things that I want to point out is the size of your graphics. You want to be sure that the size of your graphics matches your slide. We talked a little bit earlier about the ratio of white space to the words to the graphics on the page. Now, if you have your words on this side and some white space around, and you take your graphic and you put it to this small teeny size and you put it right over here, the ratio doesn't really match too well. So you want to be sure that the ratio is well formatted. On the other hand, if we make our graphics too big, it might even overwhelm the slide quite a bit. And so we don't want to do that either. Keeping your ratio well formatted will help the visuality of your slide. Finally, be sure to place your graphics in an area that you think is going to best fit. So if we take this graphic and we bring it maybe up here, and we format it like this, it doesn't give us that good ratio that we discussed earlier, and it doesn't really flow too well, even if we place it on that side. But you still try to be as creative as possible with the graphics and the placements of slides. You can play around with the layout again. That's by going to the Home button and choosing the type of layout that you would like. And just placing the graphics where you think is going to be best. The next section I want to review with you is spelling and grammar. Presenting a PowerPoint can be fun. Check for spelling and grammar errors. Errors can be very distracting. Can you imagine presenting this slide to your CEO or CNO when trying to get your program approved? How about if you're presenting to a group of peer nurses in your facility? What will these errors say about your presentation? Maybe you put it together last minute, or maybe you're not fully invested, or maybe you don't care too much. So why would anybody else care? Go through your presentation and proofread your material. These are very silly mistakes to make, but they're easily catchable. Finally, we want to add a conclusion to your presentation. The conclusion helps to recap important points. Summarize your purpose, close with a bang, and don't forget to ask your audience if they have any questions. Your reference slide should be the last slide on your page. Don't forget to add all your references. The Student Success Center has good resources you can utilize. You can access the Student Success Center by selecting the Resources tab in LoudCloud. The Purdue Online Writing Lab is an invaluable resource that I have pointed out several times in this course. It is a step-by-step guide for APA. APAstyle.org is also very useful when continuing to learn to properly format your assignments using APA guidelines. Thank you very much. I hope you found this tutorial helpful. Feel free to ask a question or leave a review in the comments, or you can contact me directly in the classroom via the individual or question to instructor forum. Thank you very much.